Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Connection Docs Live. My name is Corey, and with me I have three actually awesome guests that I will be sharing in just a moment. We are going to be starting our quick presentation here in about 60 seconds. But before we do, I just wanted to officially welcome everyone and say thanks for being here. My name is Corey. You might recognize me from my days in working very closely with Forks Over Knives, a brand that we all know and love. And since they have kind of, closed down operations, I've been able to continue my relationship and partnership with many leaders in the plant-based world, Matt and Alona being one of them. And of course, the amazing Chef AJ, another one. So today's presentation, I'm just here as the MC to say hi, thank you. I see all of you telling us where you're coming from. We have Millie and Chuck and Kathleen and Jennifer and V and Terry and Sherry and Jane and Dixie. Thank you guys so much for saying hi. Today's presentation is something that is really special, and we hope that you get a ton of value, and that's what we're here for. If you stay till the very end, you'll find out how you might be able to deeper connect with Matt and Alona. But without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Dr. Matt, Dr. Alona. Let you introduce our special guest, and I'll start our presentation and we'll get right into it. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you, Corey. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Corey, for your support. Thank you, Alona, as always. And thank you, Chef AJ. And if it wasn't for you, Chef AJ, I don't know if I would have gone down in this direction. So it was really, I remember the day where I was walking on the mountain and talking to you about some of the things that you were going through, and just said, hey, how can I help? And a beautiful friendship has really blossomed from there. And you even have gotten me into improv. So it's not just in the health world, also in the joking world. So I'm super excited. I just want to say how much I appreciate you, Chef AJ, for all of your continued support and love and everything.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Thank you. So I thought, Corey, do you want to jump into the presentation, or did you want?
Yeah, absolutely. We can. I, for whatever reason, just lost the presentation. So what I'm, this is a live webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it from my desktop, which will be just as good, and it's no problem at all. And
but we can also talk about, what we're doing or how we got started with this and how we approach.
Sure.
Would that be helpful right now then?
That's great. And then I'll pull it right up. Yep.
Perfect. So do you want to start and just share a little bit about, I love the way Alona is much better with finding the perfect words, no pressure. So I'd love to hear how you want to share that.
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here with you all today. And I'm really finding a lot of meaning and in the work that we're doing. It's always been a meaningful journey, and it's been fun to collaborate with Matt and now with Corey and AJ, and we have this fantastic team that we're working with. And it really comes down to health being a comprehensive approach. It's never just one thing. I like to look at it like the layers of the skin, and if you get a cut on the very, very top layer, yeah, you can treat that. But most chronic illnesses, including cancer, go way deeper than that. And every layer is a different pathway of care. And so integrating and bringing them all together is, I think, what really makes impactful change. And that's what we're excited to introduce to you today.
And when we take people and help them make their bodies as inhospitable to cancer as possible, there's many things that go into that. So some people think it's just your genes. Other people think it's just the diet, but it's really all of these different factors that together determine what direction you go as far as disease or healthy. And oh, here we go. It's up and running. Here we go.
Thank you, Corey. Well set. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I tell people is that your genes are your genes. You can't change your genes, but you can change what you've done to your genes over the years. And that's what we want to approach. And there's many different things and that we want to pull in. It's not just one. For example, people think that smoking causes cancer. Smoking is a factor that can affect cancer, but it's not the cause, or not everybody that smokes. In fact, this was an interesting statistic that maybe 15 to 20% of lifelong smokers will actually get lung cancer, for example, compared to 1% who don't smoke. And what I'm saying there is that the amount of factors that contribute to disease are many. And if we can address or affect as many of those as possible, all of a sudden health can start to shift. So you want to start with the three things?
Yeah, I think this applies, again, it applies to cancer and it applies to chronic disease as well. When a diagnosis comes, one of the first impulsive reactive things that we may feel is, what's the path? What am I to do? What's the one single thing that's going to make this go away? And the reality is there is no one single right path, because we're all different. Everything that led us up to a diagnosis makes it different. We as individuals show up different. Our genetics, the way that we live our lives, the diet, our social structure and support, all of that is different. And if you want to treat someone truly comprehensively, that's by creating an individualized, tailored plan for that particular person's success. And so there is no single right path. And then a lot of people have a notion that, well, if I just get my sleep and my diet and my exercise tucked in, I'm going to be fine. And yes, eating right, exercising, getting movement daily, getting enough sleep, and making that a priority, all are really important. But there are additional things, and we're going to talk about them today, that really contribute to true wellness and thriving in the world.
Good stuff. And everybody, there is a poll on the right side. We just have a question. Which best describes your situation today? Are you dealing with something that you're struggling with? Are you supporting something? Or essentially, are you here to just kind of like prevent and optimize? All of them are right answers. There are no wrong answers here. And so these are the three things that we'll be talking about today. These three things, and we're going to go through them. AJ, as you see these three things, which one of those kind of resonates the most with you?
Wait. Well, they probably that eating right is not enough.
Yeah. It's huge because, I mean, I think that all of us have been around the whole food plant-based space for quite a while. And I think that one of the most insensitive and or rude things would be like, hey, eat this head of broccoli and you're going to cure your cancer, right? And it just doesn't work that way.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, let's keep moving through. Matt and Alona, everybody knows you from Forks Over Knives, but I think that you've kind of been helping people for a very long time, yeah?
Yeah, we've been helping people for a long time. And what we started running into was more and more people getting cancer. People were getting later stage cancer. People were getting overwhelmed by the number of decisions they had to make with cancer. And they were also getting a lot of confusing information, whether it was about alternative treatments or it was about the cancer. In fact, I have a patient I'm working with now that was given this study from their doctor to say, hey, this is why we're doing the treatment we're recommending. And I looked at the study and I'm going to share with them, hey, this study actually doesn't apply to you. And you need to have this information so you can make an informed decision. So instead of telling them what they should do, I'm telling them, here's the information, here's what it says. And then does that work for you? Or if that doesn't work, let's find something that does. And I think that there's just so much, this is exactly it. They're drowning. There's so much chaos. There's so much confusion. There's so much overwhelm. And then on top of that, they can get really annoyed when we say, oh, and by the way, you have to deal with your stress and don't, go into this safety physiology space where you feel calm and peaceful, because that's where healing can happen. Meanwhile, they have all these tests and medications and studies and alternative treatments and pills and side effects that they don't know what to do with. So it becomes so overwhelming.
I think that was the last piece that I actually forgot to mention in our three things that we're going to be talking about today, was that whole notion of carrying this alone. it is such a ridiculously heavy lift to imagine carrying all of this alone. I don't think it's possible. And so being held, being supported, being carried through all the information that you're sifting through, all the emotional turmoil that it brings up, all of the physical symptoms that are experienced, having a team that's really supporting you is also crucial in this time.
Yeah, because one of the most important things is feeling confident in your plan, feeling hopeful, and not the blind hope stuff that we just put a nice wrapper on top of our fear, but really trusting and feeling hopeful. And in fact, if you feel hopeful and trust, that actually can affect outcomes. That can affect mortality. That can affect recurrence. There's so many amazing statistics and studies that talk about how these things that some people call soft will actually affect outcomes.
And I think that's an important. Oh, sorry, Corey, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of people might not know AJ. And so I just wanted to give AJ a second to kind of share her story. If you could give us a 30,000-foot view, AJ, I know that, honestly, we could have an entire webinar of you just sharing your story. But would you be able to kind of bring those up to speed? The majority of people that are here today, just so everybody knows, are interested from our poll in prevention and health optimization. But we also do have friends here that have been diagnosed with cancer, and we have an equal amount of people that are dealing with a chronic illness. And so, AJ, I want to give you the floor for a second and have you share. Just some people might not know; they might not, be.
Of course. Yeah, so my name is Chef AJ, and I've been a vegan for almost 50 years. Whole food, plant-based for about 25 of those, and for the last 15, what some people might say. Dietary perfectionist, no sugar, no oil, no flour, no alcohol, no salt, nutrient dense, doing everything that I thought was going to prevent and reverse pretty much all diseases. And it did work for the diseases I didn't get. I didn't get heart disease. I didn't get diabetes. I didn't get autoimmune disease. But about 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with lung cancer. So I was I thought the vegan diet did everything for us.
Yeah. And you're working with Dr. Matt right now, right?
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, it was really interesting because I was actually working with Dr. John McDougall, who had the nerve to pass away, and it was really funny because Matt and I had been, we'd been friends and colleagues before. We'd lived in the same city at times. And I didn't know what he was really up to because he moves a lot. And hard to keep track of him where he's living at any given time. But I had called him because I was doing a memorial for Dr. John McDougall. And I had asked him, all the people that knew him to present. It was an online memorial. And, he had said, well, how are you doing with the fact that he, passed away? I said, well, of course, he was a mentor and I'm really sad. He was like a dad and he was helping me with my cancer. I hadn't come out yet. And Matt goes, what cancer? And then he said, well, would you be willing to do some radical and different things? And I'm like, sure. And then he just kind of started helping me as a friend. Now, I had no idea this was like his business, like his passion and his business. So yeah, well, being like a cancer concierge doctor, which I think everybody with cancer needs because, oh my God, trying to navigate it yourself with these doctors is really difficult.
It's funny. I've known Matt and Alona for quite a while. And I think that you mentioned that they, had this business, but the truth is, and I think that he said this and he said this before, Matt and Alona have both said this, it didn't really start until they found out the information from you. And you are the driving force behind their why. And because of you, they have been able to help hundreds of other people. And so, we are talking about what they do and how they do it. But here we are hoping to provide at the end of this, some relief, some thoughts to let you know that you're not alone, folks that are here live on this webinar, taking your time out of your day to hear us. And by us, I do not mean me. So with that, I think, AJ, one of the things that I wanted to let you and Matt and Alona talk about is that first thing, finding the right path and having to find it fast, because if you could just take me into that moment where you were receiving your diagnosis, I can only imagine how overwhelming it was. Yes?
Well, absolutely, because I couldn't even get an oncologist because, like the old saying goes, you can't get a show on Broadway till you have a show on Broadway. You can't get an oncologist till you have a biopsy, and my tumor wasn't large enough to biopsy. So it was really difficult because it was like 9 months of just like, I don't even have an oncologist. How am I supposed to do this?
Yeah. And Matt, so when they have that overwhelming feeling, and they feel like they have to make a choice, can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I can definitely walk you through it. I just want to make 2 points, especially given the people that sound like they're in the audience, is that chronic illness, cancer is a type of chronic illness, but we talk about complex medical conditions. They require the same support and very similar intervention. And we're using cancer as an example. And people are willing to do just about anything when they're fighting cancer. And you have to do a lot of things that may be outside the conventional box. So that's why we like working with people that are really willing. In fact, when we first talk to people, we say, are you willing to do anything and everything that we talk about? And that is a key factor to working with us. So I want to make it clear that it's not just cancer, it's complex medical conditions. And the same thing that treats you when you have the disease also works for prevention. You just start doing it before you can see, because prevention is not that everybody has cancer growing in their body right now. And it's just different levels and your immune system's trying to keep it at bay. But the things that we do when we have cancer that's big enough to diagnose with our scans today, the stuff that works there also works when the cancer's too small to be seen by our scans. So we tell people, whether it's prevention or treatment, you're doing the same things. And that's, I wanted to make that clear going in.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of folks that you've had the opportunity to work with. One of them, of course, is Merlinda. And Alona, can you talk to me about Merlinda's journey just super quick before we go into our next slide, where we're going to talk about kind of the 3 steps, conventional versus kind of like some whole body options that we can think about?
Yeah, Merlinda is one of many patients that we have who has metastatic cancer, and who, she really describes it. I was flailing. I didn't know what to do, and coming overwhelmed and coming scared and uncertain and not knowing what the next steps are going to be and not knowing what information to trust and just feeling confused. That was the initial feeling. And I work with her very closely, and your heart is in it with my clients. They're like my family. I want to change their trajectory as best I can. And it's really awesome now to be able to provide that, not just with me and Matt, but with a team of people that are really coming at it from a bunch of different perspectives to complete the picture of healing. And I think that's what starts to shift. Is you start to connect to yourself, your environment, the life that you want to live in a completely different way. And that begins a really significant shift.
Yeah, because we can't, when we were seeing people ourselves without this team, we just didn't have enough hands on deck. And now that there's 6 of us on this team, it's so powerful because everybody is able to work with people when they need it and as often as they need it. And that is what is going to beat the complex medical conditions. It's not one visit for an hour once a week. It's daily, multiple touches, multiple people coming at all the different pieces. And that's what we're going to get into in a little bit, are all these different pieces that need to come together.
Yeah, and we have a live poll right now, and a lot of people are saying that the biggest challenge is managing their stress and emotions. And I that resonates, I know, with AJ, because she said, the one thing I wasn't thinking about was everything above the neck, right? And so, AJ, I know we've got Merlinda's story here, and, I would love, Alona and Matt, for you guys to unpack this as we think about conventional versus whole body, right? These things are, there's only this one way to do things. I have to get chemo. I have to do this. I can't get chemo because of this and that. I want to talk about that in a second. But AJ, when you talk about above the neck and when you talk about the stress and emotions, what was that thing for you that made you go, oh, this is the thing that I am stressed out of my mind right now? Like what was the thing that had that light bulb go off?
I'm not sure if there was one thing, because, even people that are like very stable that aren't stressed, I think when you get a cancer diagnosis or any chronic illness diagnosis, you're going to be stressed. And, when Matt was explaining to me the work of Stephen Cole, which was the first thing he ever said to me on the phone, and he asked me to look at the research, he had actually sent me the article from this doctor at UCLA that talked about how it's not that stress like causes cancer, but that it creates a fertile breeding ground for it to grow and metastasize. And then I needed to get a checkup from the neck up and try to really start handling my stress and my emotions better.
Yeah, because I don't even like the term stress. It's so vague and broad, and different people manage stress differently. And depending on what's going on in your life, it can be health promoting or disease promoting. So we like to talk about things like chronic, unpredictable stressors, loneliness, a feeling of helplessness or hopelessness, a lack of a sense of agency, lack of clarity. So all of those things, a disconnection from yourself and your feelings, where you suppress your emotions, or the type C personality where you are trying to get along. So you suppress your truth and you're inauthentic because you're scared to be authentic based on, you're worried about their reactions or losing the relationship. All of that falls under this mind, body, stress, health, disease paradigm. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you nailed it.
So that's what we talk about. And each person's different. So if I apply the same treatment to every person, we're going to miss things, versus saying, where do you struggle? Where are you? Because we need to get people to shift from trying to eliminate their disease to trying to live and love their life. But you can't live and love your life if you're still worried about your disease and all these balls dropping over here. So there's this natural transition that happens. That's why we do it over 12 weeks, where we get those balls in order, and then we start to shift. And then we connect to all those factors I talked to you that fall under this stress term. And then we can start shifting them towards loving and living the life they want, where they become so busy living that they forget to die.
And I think just to add to that, it's not just with a diagnosis, it's even before diagnosis, to connect to living and loving your life and actually manifesting that, for lack of a better word, is what it's about. And so many people that I work with that have been diagnosed, this is the first time they're stepping back and really challenging their limiting beliefs, really connecting to identities that they have based on who they should be, not who they want to be. And it's amazing how over the course of time that actually contributes to chronic illness.
Yep. There's a cool study that looked at almost 4,000 breast cancer survivors, and those with the strongest sense of purpose were 33% less likely to die. So, and it was even more dramatic for those women under 70. And when they took that, looked just at those women, they were 66% less likely to die when they had a strong sense of purpose. That's why, in my belief, I'd love to do studies on this. When we give somebody with the same stage cancer and the same type of cancer, we give them a chemotherapy. Some will die in 6 months, some will live 5+ years, but you got the same medicine for the same stage disease. There's something else that's going on in the people that live, and it's synergistic. And doctors talk about this, where if you believe the treatment is helping you and that you're healing and that you all of a sudden are going out there and excited and living your life, you have a different outcome than someone that feels like a victim and is being has no choice and thinks they're going to die and is trying not to die. It's a totally different state in your body. And now studies are starting to show how that actually affects the immune system, gene expression, and things like that.
And one of the things is that that sense of victimization is not always conscious. It's not something that I say, oh, today I want to be a victim. No, that's part of the limiting belief. That's part of the growing up that we did, the interactions that we've had with society, what we were told as kids by our parents, by our teachers, by authority figures. We have created limiting beliefs to survive in this world, and we have survived. And what sometimes we don't realize is there is a cost to some of those strategies that we've used.
Yes, and those limiting beliefs are extremely powerful. So if we have a belief system that causes us to feel helpless, women, they looked at breast cancer patients again, 55% more likely to relapse or die if they scored high on a helpless scoring system. And that lasted 10 years later when they looked back. Still, they had 53% more chance, a higher chance of relapsing and dying if they scored high on that helplessness scale. Depression, same thing, 3.6 times more likely to die if you're depressed than if you're not when you have cancer. So all of this stuff, I'm not saying not to worry about treatment. We do the medical. I'm licensed in all 50 states. But you do that, and you do the diet and lifestyle, and you do the sleep, and you do the self-connection, and you do the meaning and purpose, and you do the nervous system regulation. I mean, there's so much. That's why we have a team of 6 people. And AJ, you can speak to it. You came in actually with a lot of the boxes checked, which is partially why you were frustrated. And then also there's a lot to still do, which I love your humility and your vulnerability to say, yeah, I still got work to do. And that's your secret sauce.
Absolutely. Like you said, one thing is generally not enough. If it were, then we would all just take the pill and be better.
Yes. And each person has to have the humility to look inside and the belief system to trust that if I change how I show up, all of a sudden my life will change, my health will change. And that tends to be in these self-induced healing stories. That's a common denominator, is how do they show up every day and how do they relate to themselves and the world around them?
And I think a lot of times it goes to really unlearning a lot of the stuff that we have learned over time, which is particularly an either or mentality. Either we either we say yes and commit to something, or we say no and somebody gets upset. Either I work to the bone or I lose my job. And one of the magic pieces in the work that we do is really expanding that to a both and. How do I honor myself? How do I connect to myself? How do I show up in authenticity and agency and advocate for myself and function and survive and thrive in the world around me?
And just so everyone can see, I did ask in the chat, is this helping, guys? Is this helping you? We want to make sure that as we, present this information to you, that it is helping you. We want to make sure that we are answering any questions that you might have. At the end, we'll have a Q&A, so we'll be there for you. But we care very much about the fact that you are taking some time to be with us. Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, David, Julie, all saying this is helpful. We really appreciate that. I want to transition into that next thing. And I think everybody probably wants to know AJ's thoughts on this. But AJ, the thought is, if I just eat right, I'll be just fine. Right. And so
they still tell me that I didn't do it right. And I didn't know how much righter could I have done it other than just water fasting, which I did, and juicing, which I did, and smoothies, which I did. And there's still, I think in the plant-based world, there is this prevailing belief that if you just get the diet right, you're going to be fine. And Dr. Simran Malhotra explained, the diet is wonderful. It's like a seatbelt, but even when you wear your seatbelt, that doesn't mean you're not going to get into a nasty car crash. It's not it's not what I was promised.
Yeah. And, Matt, as you hear her share some of this story and, whether it's a vegan diet, plant-based diet, whole food, plant-based diet, like SOS diet, like whatever it is, Why is diet not the singular thing to focus on to ensure that you keep your body inhospitable to cancer?
Trying to say the diet's the only thing would be like listening to a symphony and trying to tell me which instrument makes that symphony sound really good.
Mm.
You can't do that. They all contribute. And if you don't focus on all the different pieces, so diet is very important. I hope everybody listening realizes diet's very important, but so are all of these other factors. And it's not one or the other, it's everything. And in fact, there's people that are eating maybe not 100% strict whole food plant-based, but they're happy and they're living their life and they're connected and they're empowered. And then there's people that are eating 100% and the strict, sweet potatoes and broccoli every meal 3 times a day, and they're miserable and they're gutting it out and they're afraid to eat anything else. And they have both. Doing that is potentially more harmful than eating the diet that's pretty clean and you're joyful and loving it. So that's where people, I wish they could take it all. For some reason, people tend to think binary. It's this or it's this. It's right or it's wrong. It's good or it's bad. And that's not how the body works.
Yeah, the body gets many signals that optimize our health and make and increase the likelihood that our body is going to be as inhospitable to cancer and chronic disease as possible. Food is a fundamental signal, but so is sleep, and so is movement, and so are relationships, and so is emotions, and so is stress. So all of those signals are important.
And even sleep is important, but even more important is, why are you not sleeping? I could throw a sleeping pill on top of you and you're going to start sleeping. But is that actually going to give you the health that we're trying to get at? No. So these markers of health, sleep and what your diet looks like and what some of your numbers look like, that's just part of the program here. And we got to dig in deep and figure out why you're not sleeping. Why are you not playing? Why are you not connecting to your emotions? Why are you choosing the foods you're choosing? Why are your relationships struggling? Why are you not getting out in nature? And why are you feeling depressed right now? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you where do you feel spiritually? Are you the only person that matters in this world, or are you connected to something greater than yourself? There's so much that needs to go in, and the people that are open to exploring this do fantastic. And some people, they're not ready to go there, and we support them to the level they're ready. And that sometimes increases over our work together.
And I think that also goes to, and AJ, maybe you can speak to this as well, but it also goes to that humility that Matt mentioned and AJ exemplifies, is we only know what we know, and our knowledge is limited. And so the ability to be open to exploration, open to learning new things, that's a real key in this journey.
I have a rapid fire. You ready? You guys ready for this? We're gonna break up the presentation format a little bit. I'm gonna ask some of you questions, and I want you to just answer off the top of your head. You ready? Ready? Matt, how much sleep do you like to get a night, per night?
8-hour sleep window, 7+ hours ideal.
Do you wear the blue light blockers that I gave you?
I do.
Good.
The problem is sometimes I use them to work at night, which defeats the purpose. So then I wind up staying up.
No work allowed. AJ, what is your favorite thing to eat right now?
Oh my God, vanilla ice cream.
I love it.
I'm sorry, but if I'm under oath, that is it. Vegan vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, we love you.
Do you just eat the plain ice cream, or do you put stuff in it?
Well, okay. It depends. So we have this place here, a vegan restaurant, Chef Tanya's Kitchen. There's no oil. There is some sugar. It's oat milk. I make a haboob. It's like a blizzard, and you put in pistachio butter and vegan marshmallows. And oh my God, it's just caramel sauce. It's a haboob. It's like a blizzard. Yes, that's my favorite thing to eat right now.
Oh,
I think haboob needs to be a Disney, character.
Called a haboob, Haboob, and I don't eat it every day, mainly because it's like 20 minutes away, and they're like $12. But yeah, that's my favorite thing to eat right now.
Alona, when you are stressed, what's the one thing that you do?
I listen to music, and
what kind of music?
Especially Broadway tunes.
Broadway tunes?
I'm a Broadway junkie. Yes.
Did you watch the Tony Awards?
I didn't watch the Tony Awards.
They were this past Monday. They're
yes.
good. Yeah, you got to go back and replay.
And what Alona also does is she will sing different songs based on her mood. So if she's feeling a little sad, I'll know the song means that she's actually feeling a little sad or a little nervous or a little.
Yes, my family now knows if they hear me sing Tomorrow or Raindrops on Roses, they're like, "Oh, Mom, are you having a rough day?" Versus if I'm singing, like I could have danced all night. Yeah. Then I'm good.
Thank you guys so much. I like to break things up a little bit with a little bit of fun. But listen, I want to thank again everyone here. We're not even close to done. We're on our way, but I just want to say thank you for staying here. Everyone stayed. The retention of the people that have showed up, they are all staying here. Thank you for answering our polls because it helps us craft the presentation a bit more towards you. And we've talked about two things so far. The first thing we talked about was the fact that there is no one right path. There is no one right thing. And what goes along with that is number two here, which is if I just eat the right stuff, I'll be okay. So hopefully at this point in the presentation, as we move into the third part where we talk about staying strong and not falling apart in front of the people that you love, withholding your emotions and that impact that it could have on your journey. I just wanted to just take a second and acknowledge everyone in the room and say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And with that, we're gonna move right into number 3 here. And Matt, I'll give the mic back to you and help me understand and everyone else understand why it's not okay to swallow those emotions and not be upset.
Yeah. So when you swallow your emotions, you're telling your body that it's dangerous to share those. When you tell your body it's dangerous, there's danger out there, it shifts into threat physiology, which is a pro-inflammatory state. And it decreases when we're pro-inflammatory, we shift resources so that we can fight tissue damage and immediate threat. We do not waste our resources on fighting cancer and viruses because our body's saying, hey, we got to deal with the immediate threat. Cancer is a long-term chronic issue. We're not going to worry about that right now. So when you are in threat physiology, meaning you're in fight or flight, your body does not have the same access to resources to fight cancer spread and growth, and it doesn't have the access to fight viruses. It's a pro-inflammatory state to help repair tissue damage. So we don't want that. And what was interesting is that physical threat turns on the same chemicals in your body, the same reactions as emotional threat. So suppressing emotion. In fact, there was James Pennebaker did tons of studies on expressive writing. Just getting it out and writing it on paper, even if you don't tell anybody else, shifted outcomes of all sorts of diseases, including cancer outcomes. You want to add to that?
Yeah, and then AJ, I saw you nodding your head as well. Were you holding back some of the emotions? I know that when you were trying to
absolutely. I mean, because I think especially for women and women of a certain culture, we were not talking this yesterday about he was working with somebody from the Asian culture. You just aren't always learning to express yourself as children and adults the way you were raised, and I don't think that's a good thing, especially when you have a chronic disease,
Alona, can you talk about how this affects the whole family and what you've kind of seen and maybe some thoughts on how folks can, work with their family and their support system?
Absolutely. Well, I think there are a number of things. I think one is we model for each other how to show up. And so when there's a prominent notion of suck it up, buttercup, soldier up, everybody in the family hears this message. I got to soldier up. I don't get to feel sad. I don't get to feel scared. I don't get to, explore my grief. I got to hide it under the rug. So there's this artificial harmony that exists. But the thing about it, the ironic thing about it is that it completely destabilizes, especially in families with your partner can tell, hey, something's not right here. This doesn't feel safe. This doesn't feel comfortable. and especially with kids, where I've worked with families and with younger kids and a parent going through cancer, and I hear, my parents are telling me everything's okay, but I can see that everything's not okay. And that dissonance between what you're hearing, but what you're seeing and feeling feels very unstable, whether it's a family member or the person actually going through the disease. And on top of everything that you're managing when you get a diagnosis, to then manage other people's emotions, oh, that is one quick thing we want to take off the table. And that happens by supporting not only the person with the diagnosis, but potentially also the family around them.
And that's where nonviolent communication is so helpful, because you can be authentic and connected. A lot of people are choosing, am I authentic and they get upset, or do I suppress so that they're happy? And there's a third way. And that's why actually everybody on our team is trained in nonviolent communication, because it is so powerful. You don't have to suppress. In fact, suppression is what the Type C personality book talked about, Lydia Temashak. And it was, she's actually going to be on the show with me and AJ next Thursday. And it's fascinating how people that looked like they should have done really well with cancer, if they had that Type C personality where they suppress their emotion to get along and be nice, they did so much worse than they should have. And the people that looked like they should have done poorly, but were the ones that spoke up and advocated for themselves and didn't just suppress to get along, they did really well, even though it didn't look like they were supposed to. Fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and thank you everyone for answering our poll. We just asked how you feel, and the majority of people feel that they have a lot of support or are somewhat supported. We do have some folks that feel like they're alone, and absolutely, we fully understand. You're not, because we are here, and we love you and we appreciate you.
When somebody says that they're feeling alone, it's not even, I hope they don't get nervous, like, oh my God, I'm alone. That means I'm going to increase my risk of disease. Actually, just connecting to that loneliness starts to shift in your body. Then you can start to take action that meets needs for connection, and doesn't necessarily have to be physically with another person, although that's a wonderful thing. So I also want to just let people know that there's ways to navigate this. And the first step is just connecting to the loneliness versus suppressing the sense of loneliness.
And, I'm going to share another story here, guys. So this is Matt and Alyssa. And I would love, to let Alona share a little bit about them. But ultimately, I do want to let everyone know that these folks have approved for us to share their stories. They actually are very similar to AJ and said, please, please share our story to help inspire others. So can we just get a very quick update on, Matt and Alyssa's journey, Alona, and kind of your work with them?
Yeah, so Matt and Alyssa are one of the couples who we worked with, not only them, but their children as well. And Matt came in with a diagnosis of glioblastoma.
Grade 4. So it was very, very extensive, very concerning diagnosis, and started doing all different support tools. It was having some challenges, and then we helped him get into a care system that could really support him fully the way that we would want to be supported if we were dealing with the same situation. And just recently,
he was getting conventional treatment, and at the same time we were supporting him with self-connection, with connection with a family, with addressing limiting beliefs, addressing repression and suppression, and dealing with grief and the anger and the fear that comes up with diagnosis. And we just actually heard from them recently, and on a recent MRI, there was no sign of tumor. And that obviously lit us up, brought tears to my eyes. And it's not because you just are so excited. And I imagine the celebration that this family is doing in the moment. And that's wonderful.
Yeah, we spend so much time with people in front of them and behind the scenes, trying to help put together plans and navigate all of the chaos that people are overwhelmed with. And it really feels like part of the family. So when you get these messages, it makes everything that we're doing worth it 110%.
So we've talked about three things, guys. We've talked about the fact that let me just switch here. Carrying this alone is not necessarily a strength, right? We know that you need people around to support you, and you need a coordinated team of people as well. Now, I promised you guys that we would get to a Q&A, and I want to get to that. But before I do, again, just to respect everybody's time, would it be okay if we shared a little bit about Matt and Alona and what they do, like what we are talking about here and what the next natural steps might be? If that's okay, could you just put a yes in the chat box? I've opened up the chat box again, and I know there's like a 7 to 10 second delay. So hopefully it's okay. But I just want to ask before we do that Q&A, if it will be okay if we just kind of shared a little bit about this network and what they've created and the people that are on their team. Maybe 3 minutes, guys, and then we're going to get right to the Q&A. Awesome. Okay. So Chuck and Jason and Jocelyn and Luann and Millie and Kathleen. Okay. Everybody's saying yes. Holy cow. This is okay. Everybody's saying yes. Okay. We love you. Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to walk through it. All right. So this is a physician-led team that's built entirely around you. And what I'm going to do, Matt and Alona, I know that we went over these slides and there were like so many slides, but what I want to do right now is I just want to stop. I'm going to stop the presentation. And I want you, in your own words, to tell us what you do and how it works. And then I am going to bring up a slide that shows all of the beautiful headshots of your beautiful team and what you do. But I think this is not a sale, guys. This is not something that we're selling to you. We are letting you know that there are solutions out there. And, the next natural step is going to be to book a call and see if it's the right fit. But can you guys talk to us and tell us what this is that you have created?
You want to talk about you and Mark, and I'll talk about
it. And we also have a lot of free resources with a lot of the information on the website too. So there's lots of ways for people to get help immediately if they take the time to read through all that stuff and watch the videos and listen to things. But one of the things that we do is when people are so overwhelmed because they got diagnosed with a new condition, whether it's cancer or some other complex medical issue, is that their brains, like I said, start to go into almost a panic, an overwhelm, a threat physiology. And it's just so hard to know what to do next. There's 20 to 40 decisions that need to be made. What's urgent, what's not. So the first thing we do is get information, do a thorough intake, and you and I will both see them. And then we Alona and I will talk, and we'll build a plan on what we think will help them shift from where they're trying to just survive to where they are thriving and loving and living. And that's over the initial 12 weeks so that they can build these new habits and then shift the trajectory of their health from there.
And I think just specifically, like Matt will take through an extensive medical intake. I go through an internal terrain intake, which is sleep and stress and emotions and nutrition and all of that stuff. And then we come up with that individualized plan. And the people on our team, I'm just so blessed to be working with. That we have Mark Adetta, and he really works with internal family systems. He works with trauma. We have Paris Williams, who works with complex trauma and nonviolent communication and grief support and living your best life. And then we have Lisa Rice, who's a health coach and an incredible chef and somebody who can help actually take the theoretical steps and begin a practical implementation. And then we have Jessica, who's our care coordinator and the glue to this whole thing, and who's just making sure everybody's in the right place at the right time, getting the right care that they need. So it really feels like people have got you in a bunch of different sections in your life.
And then we talk every week. The whole team meets to make sure everybody's getting what they need. Sometimes they need to meet with some people more, other people less. We pivot what we're doing based on what's working, what's not working. But yeah, and early on, people will give me access to all of their health records. just to start feeling like somebody's got you. And what I think is that, talk about a way to feel safe. I have patients, they'll have 40 active issues. I mean, imagine having 40 active issues, and at the same time, you're trying to do all these interventions. At the same time, just keeping track of everything. You have 5, 6, 7, 8 doctors. I'm going to sessions, then advocating. There's only so much the brain can hold on to. And I think as a team, that's what, I mean, AJ, that's what you're saying too is most helpful is you said the doctors treat you differently.
Oh, well, I think the most beneficial thing for me is having Matt come to my doctor's appointments, obviously not in-person ones because he lives in New Jersey, but most things are done other than the actual treatment on Zoom these days. At least it has been from my cancer experience. And they do treat me differently when they know that there's another person that's an MD there. It's like amazing, the difference in the appointments.
Well, here's what I want to do, friends. I want to thank you for sharing all of that info. I want to say that there is no sale here, guys. There is no sale. Someone said, please be short. I don't want this to turn into a sales pitch. It's not. We are going to jump right into the Q&A. But what I do want to do is I want to at least give you a chance to fill out an application if that's something that you want. I know a lot of you were interested in finding out more information and you don't know where to start, right? So here you're going to have a link to a application that will get you into a connection call with the Connection Docs team and eventually lead you down a conversation with Matt if that's something you'd like. So that link is there for you. The application takes 2 to 5 minutes to fill out. If you are struggling right now and you do feel alone or you do need help, then that's where you want to go. Not selling anything. There's no buy now button. It is just simply an application for you to fill out if that is the right thing for you. So with that, I will hit publish.
Just to be clear too, we'll talk to people and Jessica can help direct them towards resources that will help them. For example, she just talked to somebody who really needed an oncologist, and we have connections and things like that, so that if it's not the right fit, we can help you find resources that will be the right fit. So it's really, and like I said, there's free resources too on the Connection Docs website. So lots of ways to get help for whatever type of help you're needing.
Well, I am going to open up the chat, everybody, and I'm going to enable the ability to ask some questions. And we're just going to be here for a few more minutes to answer as many questions as we possibly can. I know that Julie asked if there was going to be a replay. The answer to that is yes. It will be hosted on YouTube so that we can have our friends that need closed captioning. And it will also be available to everybody where it will live forever. Okay. We have a question from Chuck. Holy cow, we've got a lot of stuff in there and it's very small on my end. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to read through it.
Okay, we're going to get a summary, Chuck. Thank you so much for submitting your question. And keep in mind, everybody, we're going to do our best to answer questions. Very specific medical advice we want to be like super careful of because we don't know the whole story. But Chuck did give us a hefty paragraph there, so hopefully we can get in there. Jess, I'll put that link in the top. Oh, Florence, great question. Let's address Florence's question and then go back to Chuck.
Yeah, we support. In fact, there's a good portion of our patients in our 12-week program don't have cancer. They have complex medical issues. Some people have actually just complex as far as emotional, trying to navigate relationship issues and stress and other mood challenges. So it's really about getting that comprehensive support, not just for cancer.
And I love Chuck's question. It's a little specific as far as, to really give you, it looks like there's suggestions on how to fight through side effects. That's a more complicated thing that we can answer at the moment. And it's very individual based on, a more comprehensive intake.
Right. And what's causing your side effects? What's happening? What have you tried? What have you not tried? So it's really hard to give personal recommendations, although I can definitely imagine how miserable that is. And I also can tell from Chuck that he's trying really hard to be positive. And it's not necessarily about being positive, but it's trying to be hopeful and self-connected so that he can really thrive.
And you might find, Chuck, that even in those free resources, there might be things that might correlate or relate and resonate with you as far as looking into a little bit deeper.
Do you guys see the other questions? Maybe we have one for AJ here. Guys, AJ's here too. Feel free to ask her anything.
So I don't know of another model in other states, but I really appreciate the appreciation. It truly is, from my perspective, a wonderful team to be working with. And I wish that
we work in all 50 states. So I'm licensed in all 50, so we can support people. We're not limited. Everything is virtual.
Yes.
And for people, some people like Chuck, for example, maybe it's just initially doing a record review and strategic a strategy session. So it's really about getting people the support they need. This is
our website. Our website is connectiondocs.com. That's connectiondocs.com. And yes, we have free resources on that site.
Yep, just shared that in the chat for everybody.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, and then somebody asked about having a lymph node removed for advanced metastatic adenocarcinoma. PET and CT scans are negative. What should be the next step? And there's pros and cons to all of these following steps. It would be very hard to tell, but what I can say is if it's metastatic, what we want to do is optimize the immune system because there's very likely little cancer cells that are still out there. And we want to make sure that we shift your environment, your internal ecosystem, to whatever allowed cancer to grow. We want to shift it so that it's no longer allowing that to happen to the best of our ability. So again, hard to give specifics.
Right. But that notion of creating an inhospitable environment to cancer can happen along many stages. The pre-diagnosis before, the preventative, to the diagnosis, to ongoing.
Yeah. And I appreciate Lori is just celebrating this type of support. This is, I would love, in fact, all of our patients say, this is how medicine should be practiced everywhere. But that's for us. It makes it fun to go to work because we're all together supporting people in the way we know they really need to be supported.
I have a couple Q&As in a private secret section that only I can see. How can I listen to this again? Already answered that, but it'll be on YouTube for you. We will send you the replay. Thoroughly enjoying the webinar. Could you address how to alleviate severe low pancreatic? I think there's a typo there. Sorry, Lydia. Maybe ask that question again for me. What is the name of the business? It is The Connection Docs. That is them. We have a link.
Did you see
yes.
Florence's question? And if can we get support? Can we get, even if we don't have cancer?
Oh,
Absolutely.
great question. Yeah.
That's a really important one because not every client or patient has cancer that they work with.
Absolutely. And the support is in all stages from preventative to a diagnosis, whether it's cancer or other chronic disease, that support can come in. There's a question from Joanne that I want to address, and I'm not sure I'm understanding it correctly, but I feel if you have intractable anxiety, depression, but eat healthy, you are blaming the victim for cancer spreading. And so I want to clarify if that came across, that I would like to say that differently. The idea is not about blame or shame. The idea is that we do experience anxiety and depression, and sometimes in those cycles, we feel like there is no way out, or we don't know how to find our way out. And the idea, the way that my wish for everyone that I work with is that we're really identifying what is underneath that to see if we can retell a different story so that we're unlocking unlimited beliefs. We're unlocking repression or suppression. We're unlocking complex trauma. We're unlocking grief. And and in that work, hopefully alleviating some of the anxiety and depression, and also simultaneously teaching resilience or skills that can help us look at similar situations in different ways.
Right, because we have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. So we're never looking at, was somebody right or wrong, good or bad, should or shouldn't. We're saying, what can we do now that's going to increase the chances that our body does not support cancer to the best of our ability? Some people can do everything and may not have much of an impact. Some people, they don't have to do very much and they'll have significant impact. But all we're saying is, you can't change your genes. You can only change what you do to your genes. So let's do everything we can. There's no blame, though. And it's interesting. People sometimes will go to, so I caused my cancer. It's like, no, it's just you're doing the best you can. And if you have anxiety and depression, those are feelings often around not feeling safe and secure and meaning and purpose. There's lots of reasons. So what we do is we dive in, and then we have a patient that had severe panic attacks and was seeing all sorts of could not fix those panic attacks. And then we worked with them, and through this process, now he has this tool system so that when he feels scared or panicked, his body knows exactly what to do. That to me is the goal.
I have a two-part question. AJ, one question is for you from Lydia. She wants to know what you are doing for your current state right now.
Right now, I'm doing nothing. I'm in that period, like people that have cancer probably, like between scans. And I recently had a PEF, my second pulse electric field ablation on May 22nd. And there's really nothing I can do for 3 months because we won't know if it was successful. So I see the doctor again on September 21st, and then I'll have some more answers for you. But right now I'm just trying to live my best life, working with the principles that Dr. Matt and Alona teach, and working on my life outside of cancer. But for the person with anxiety, I'm sorry that she felt that way about it, because I have, I don't want to say unretractable anxiety, but have lifelong anxiety, not so much depression. But these are things that they work on too with you in their program, just so you know. So it's not just they work on one thing. It's many things that either you're going to work on. And this might even just help your anxiety, whether you have cancer or not. Who knows?
Puppies as well, right? I think puppies are part of the equation for you.
Everyone must get 2 puppies and vanilla ice cream. That would be my program.
2 puppies and vanilla ice cream is what it's called.
Or you can, if you like chocolate, get it. I just prefer
that.
Yeah,
that's totally fine. Okay, Lydia, the second part of your question, and she was able to type this to me. So, okay, she's dealing with low pancreatic elastase without Creon or Zenzep. Again,
yeah.
Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, I don't know. Porcine, FDA approved drugs for this condition. I got very ill and I had to stop. Now I'm using over-the-counter digestive enzymes. What did AJ do for her condition?
Yeah, so I had one of the side effects from my cancer treatment, 6 months of immunotherapy, was pancreatitis, which is really painful. And I had every kind of pancreatic problem you can have, what she's talking about and more. And I did need to, at one point, take the non-vegan pancreatic enzymes made from a pig. And I got a pass from the vegan gods and from the Orthodox rabbi. And that was a really hard ethical decision for me. But sometimes things just, if you're patient enough, believe it or not, some of these things actually do heal in time. It's just frustrating because they don't heal often in the time we want them to. But there are other things probably you can support the pancreas at that time. It's funny because I was already on a low fat diet, and it's like, how much lower could I go? But there a registered dietitian, especially one in the cancer space, that was very helpful to me. It's called an oncology RD, because she was able to give me even foods that were even lower in fat, just for while my pancreas was healing. Those things can be helpful.
Thank you so much. Okay. Do you offer support about good oral health versus traditional advice to do fluoride and x-rays and things of that nature? Patrice, you got to go to the dentist. Okay. So no one here is going to tell you not to go to the dentist, but any oral health
a lot of what we do is we tell people the risks and benefits, or what the data shows, or the data that we can't find. And then we help them make a decision that works that aligns with their values. So I could, AJ, you've talked about this too, where I could tell you what I would do if I were you, but I'm not you. Only you can tell me what you would do if you were you. So that is the challenge that I think a lot of people want to be told what to do. And actually part of the healing is learning what healthy behaviors and actions and beliefs and all that is, and then learning how to execute that, and you be the leader, and then we will support you leading the charge on transforming your health.
Did you see Lori's comment there, AJ?
Chef AJ, your humor. Yes, absolutely. I think Matt should add a 7th person to his team to teach the comedy segment of the program, the improv comedy and stand-up section.
Only one person on this call has been on the Tonight Show. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? Only one person.
Thank you.
Anyways, okay. Guys, we're coming to the end here. We're going to let AJ go do her thing because she is in high demand. And these doctors need to get on calls and save lives. I think that a couple people have asked questions. They're just like, what is the next thing? Like, what do they have a prevention program? Can I work with them if I don't have cancer? The answer to all of these things is yes. Okay. Keep in mind that this program around helping those that are newly diagnosed to cancer was birthed because of what has happened to AJ. But the connection docs are the connection docs, and they will help you navigate chronic conditions, navigate prevention, navigate cancer diagnosis, and navigate any other thing that you might be struggling with either the traditional medical system, which we don't want to demonize in any way, shape, or form. We have a Western and an Eastern based education doctor. That's why they make such an amazing pair. But we want to take it beyond kind of the standard of excellence that is here in the United States. I'll just say it that way. We want to take it to another level. And that is why we have the connection docs. And the first place to start is that application is totally free. We just want to find out if there's something that we can help you with. And if it's the right fit, then it's the right fit. Everybody's different. As you can see with the very specific questions, there's been a lot of specificity around those questions. And we want to make sure that we, match you up with the right thing.
Yeah, there's one thing that I just want to point out, that there's people that will say, I know too many, I think Florence said this, I know too many perfect lifestyle folks that also get their genetic bullet anyway, meaning that it's just genetics. And it's I think the statistics are different than what she's quoting. That's what I've read. But that when people think they're doing it perfectly, often there's a lot of opportunity still, even just within the diet. But even outside of the diet, there's so many more factors that were new to me over the years. And I have to imagine will be new. And often with our patients, it's new to them when we explain all of these factors that actually affect cancer, in addition to what some people call a perfect diet or lifestyle.
And I think that notion of lifestyle and nutrition perfection is often comes with that perfectionist sense of I'm checking all the boxes. But there's an underlying question of, are you checking all the boxes out of obligation and fear, or are you checking all the boxes because you are joyfully doing all of these pieces together, and are they contributing to a wonderful life? And maybe there's something there to sit with and think on.
And sometimes you think you're doing it because you want to, and you're not connected to your body to know, actually, I don't really feel like exercising. Or actually, I mean, AJ, I love your story about kale, where you said, actually, I don't even like kale. And you were eating it because you thought that's what you were supposed to do.
Highest micronutrient, profile. You have to eat kale. Be a good vegan.
Yeah, so that's a perfect example of doing what you, and at the time when you were eating kale, you probably thought, oh, I like kale. But, it's when you dig in and you're like, actually, I don't like kale. It took me, I think, 40 years to realize I liked wearing red shirts, because my mother, when I was younger, told me, Matt, red shirts clash with your hair. And then all of a sudden, I never wore red shirts. And then I wore a red shirt. I got it. Just, I don't know what got me. I'm like, hey, I actually like this. So talk about that's just a small disconnection from myself that I wasn't even aware was there. I just, for 40 years, thought I didn't like red shirts. So it's things like that people start to get these really these neat awakenings that happen over time that they're not even aware they're asleep around.
Well, Well, listen, everybody, we're going to get out of here. We cannot thank you enough. We still have 250 people here with us live. And so any last minute questions that we can fire quickly, just let us know. But ultimately, there's two things that we want to tell you. One is that this will be hosted on YouTube for our friends that need closed captioning and anyone that wants to watch the replay. That email will be going out at 7 p.m. Eastern, about 6 hours after the start of this webinar. And then in addition to that, if you would like to find out more information about the Connection Docs, it all starts with that link that is in the window there. It's a connection call. Feel free to fill out the application. It takes 2 to 5 minutes. It's right there. And we'll see if there's a way that we can help you. And holy cow, so many people. Thanks, Dixie. Thank you, Laura. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Everybody's saying thank you. Colleen, right on. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, thank you, guys. Matt, you've got the button there to end the webinar, so you've got to click that red thing. So why don't you say thank you to all of us, and then you can end our webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you, AJ, for joining us, and again, for your continued support. Thank you, Corey, for just making this feel so easy and flowy. And I loved it. And thank you, Alona.
Thank you.
My partner in crime here. And we look forward to more time together with everybody.